July the 2nd, 2019. Boris Johnson arrives in Belfast during the race to be the next Conservative leader.
Under no circumstances, whatever happens, will I allow the EU or anyone else to create any kind of division down the Irish Sea or to attenuate our union.
But 107 days later, Boris Johnson announced a deal with the EU which would inevitably lead to checks on goods moving across the Irish Sea from Great Britain to Northern Ireland. It was called the Northern Ireland Protocol. Part of the Brexit withdrawal agreement, it came into force on January the 1st, 2021, designed to
Get Brexit done.
Get Brexit done.
Get Brexit done.
It meant Britain left the EU single market, but Northern Ireland stayed in when it came to goods, and not everyone was happy.
Should disperse immediately. Force is about to be used against violent individuals.
Tonight we leave the single market and the customs union. Yes, we spare a thought for Northern Ireland and our fishermen, but this is a moment to celebrate.
Economically, Northern Ireland is now different from the rest of the UK. And in this film, we'll explore how that difference has caused some people in Northern Ireland to feel threatened about their identity.
All of a sudden, we're no longer treated the same as they are. We should be treated the same as any other citizen of the United Kingdom, and we find that we're not.
But others feel optimistic about the future.
North of Ireland has fought for 800 years to become one island.
Yeah.
And Brexit is pushing that more and more towards actually happening.
Do you like the idea of it, if it can happen in a peaceful way, of a reunited Ireland?
Yeah.
And some have very little to say.
Quick word on Brexit for GBNews. What do you think of the protocol? How do you identify?
That is, if we can get there in the first place.
Now drive.
You turned it off.
Right, turn it on. That bloke's looking at me like I'm...
Paul, what are you doing, mate?
What's going on?
Right.
Boarding the 8-hour ferry from Liverpool to Belfast. I'll be honest, I didn't realise it took so long. But it's been an even longer journey for Northern Ireland, and it's far from over. In 1921, Ireland was divided broadly between Protestants in the north and Catholics in the south, which later became the Republic.
Tonight's rioting and shooting in Belfast was the climax of a violent weekend in the province.
But the peace didn't last. From the late 1960s until 1998, over 3,000 people died in a violent sectarian war. On one side, Republican paramilitaries who wanted a united Ireland. On the other, Unionist or Loyalist paramilitaries who wanted Northern Ireland to remain a part of the UK. Both groups were armed, both groups were violent. It was known as the Troubles. The violence, bloodshed and anger was so bad that peace walls went up to keep the two communities apart. But in 1998, the Troubles ended with the peace deal known as the Good Friday or Belfast Agreement. Security checkpoints, the targets for the IRA, were no longer needed, and so no hard border on the island of Ireland. But as part of the Brexit agreement, the Northern Ireland Protocol is designed to keep it that way. It means Northern Ireland remains part of the UK, but also part of the EU's single market when it came to goods. However, in order to protect that single market, the EU and the UK agreed to checks on goods moving from Great Britain to Northern Ireland, in effect creating a de facto border in the Irish Sea instead of on the island of Ireland.
Undoubtedly, some of these goods will have to undergo some sort of checks, because that potentially they may then go on to the European Union from Northern Ireland. Oh, there we go.
What are you up to, Paul?
Reading the Northern Ireland Protocol. Trying to read the Northern Ireland Protocol. It's got lots of terms and words and sentences in it. It's 60 pages long and it's quite difficult to understand. But that says more probably about me than about the document. So maybe someone here can understand it.
Polling of just over 2,500 voters by Queen's University in Belfast at the start of October found 52% thought the protocol was a good thing on balance. But David disagrees.
Having a border in between the mainland and Northern Ireland, I don't think is the answer. There's a lot of paperwork.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel? Do you feel British?
Yeah, well, look, I'm quite unique. I have a British passport and an Irish passport.
Okay.
So I feel both.
Well, tell us what does that feel like for you?
I'm British because I was born in Northern Ireland, and Northern Ireland's part of the United Kingdom, so I'm British. But I'm also Irish. You know, I support rugby, so I support the Irish rugby team, which is in Dublin, and therefore I call myself Irish, but I also call myself British.
Yeah.
Even though, you know, we are on the same island, we're both called Irish. But then, I'm also called British, and I almost feel closer to Britain than the island I'm actually on.
I also don't want to go down that route of it's Catholic and Protestant. I think it's nationalist and unionist, and I think some people want to unite Ireland who may be from the Protestant community, and some may not from the Catholic community. So I don't think it's a religious thing.
Would you like that?
Would I like a United Ireland?
Yeah.
Look, as I said, I support Irish rugby. Would I want one Irish rugby team? Yes. Do I want one Irish hockey team? Yes. Do I think there should be one Irish football team? Yes. Why not? You know, do I think there should be a unified Ireland? I don't know.
Now you've got to take the parking brake off.
No. Put the parking brake off. Yeah, now drive, yeah?
Yeah.
Paul. There's like 5 different things.
What are we going to do with
you?
you? Where's a piece of Northern Ireland that you think never gets filmed, never gets shown, especially in the rest of the UK?
In terms of the good parts of Northern Ireland?
Yeah, just for
me, I'm from the North Antrim coast, right?
Okay.
So that's the Giant Causeway, it's Bushmills, it's Portrush, it's Benone, all that whole drive right round to Belfast around the coast, Cushendall, Cushendun, you know, the Gobbins.
Are you writing this down, Joe?
The Gobbins Cliff Path. There's so many beautiful parts of Northern Ireland.
Yeah, we're going to the Giant Causeway tomorrow.
Oh, it's brilliant.
It's a film. Yeah, is it good?
Brilliant, yeah, absolutely.
David wasn't wrong. The Giant's Causeway is a World Heritage Site. Pre-pandemic, around 1 million visitors a year came from all over the world to see Northern Ireland's most famous landmark.
There's some disagreement as well, I hear, over how the Giant's Causeway came about. It's either the result of a volcanic event, or it's two giants throwing rocks at each other between Scotland and Ireland. Which side are you on?
Oh well, I'm definitely in the side of the giant.
Good.
That's Islay there, as you can see it. Just see over that there.
Oh yeah, right on the horizon.
And as you go on round the coastline, and you come to Tor Head, you're about 12 miles from the Mull Kintyre, so you're really close.
Wow.
You know, so yeah, you're looking onto the Grand Causeway itself.
Yeah.
You know, where you see it going out to the sea.
Yeah.
And the legend has it that the giant Finn McCool built the causeway from here to the island of Staffa to fight the giant. So I believe this is the pinnacle of the whole place. This is what draws the people down that coastline.
It's breathtaking, the view.
Absolutely breathtaking.
The Causeway is known to people here as the 8th wonder of the world. It's part of Northern Ireland's identity.
I would class myself as Northern Irish.
Yeah.
So, you know, people can take from that what they want. I think Northern Ireland as a place, or the island of Ireland, whatever you want to say, has moved on a lot since that. You know, and people are living together, and that's what has to happen.
To you, what is being Northern Irish?
Being Northern Irish is sharing places like this with people from all over the world. I've heard it said that the most welcoming people in this planet are from the north of Ireland. I would agree with that.
Do you know what the Northern Ireland Protocol is?
Wouldn't have a clue.
Do you think a lot of people feel that way?
Listen, if anybody has time to sit down and read a 60-page document on stuff that they don't probably understand even if they did read it, well, there's not much point in that, I would think, Paul. We talk about Irish and Northern Irish. Every bay that we're going to walk through from here till we get back up again has an Irish name.
Right.
This is Port Noffer, Giants Bay. We'll walk up into Port Ganny, in Irish, it means Bay of Sand, and we'll walk up into Port Nabo, which is Bay of the Cow.
Right. What do you think the future of Northern Ireland is?
I look back over my years living in Northern Ireland, and I look back at since 1995, and I see how far it has come. We're not finished yet. I think the future of Northern Ireland is in the hands of the people that live in it. And I think it's up to the people who live in it.
Do you know what? That's called the Giant's Loom, is it?
Yeah.
And that's called the Giant's Organ.
Yep, and this is the Giant's Boot.
That's the Giant's Boot.
Yeah.
I'm going to call you the Giant Neville. How's that? Because you are a giant.
Yeah, well, I hope you enjoyed your time with me.
Yeah, I really did, yeah. Learned loads. Yeah, it was like a fun teacher. Yeah.
Never been called that before.
The crowd should disperse immediately. The force is about to be used against violent individuals.
In the spring of 2021, loyalist areas across several Northern Ireland towns and cities saw rioting. It was nothing like the Troubles, but 90 officers were hurt as police were pelted with bricks, fireworks and petrol bombs. Most of those taking part were young men for a multitude of reasons. One of them, the protocol.
I'm careful not to call that what happened there a riot, because I think that's just slightly inaccurate. I think it was a demonstration. And it was a demonstration of anger and frustration on behalf of the protesters. And I think on the police it was a demonstration of strength and power, and that's not the approach.
Would you say it was a peaceful demonstration?
No, and I think mistakes were made, and I think it lacked real leadership.
Yeah.
And that's part of the anger and the frustration, is that unionism and loyalism kind of does lack real leadership at the minute. See the building with the black fence around it there? It's Kensington Medical Centre.
Oh, yeah. And that's where you got arrested?
Yeah.
Right, okay. How many times have you been arrested?
Twice.
Right, okay.
But although both times, nothing ever happened, it was,
sure,
just a...
Yeah, released without charge. Yeah.
So, no crimes were committed.
No.
I want to make it absolutely clear that under no circumstances will I allow the EU or anyone else to create any kind of division down the Irish Sea or to attenuate our union.
That I think every bonfire this year should have had Boris Johnson's face nailed to the front, because he is an absolute traitor. And I think there's an opinion that London is the UK, and I mean, no disrespect to them, we're all in this together and all, but it's not. Our people paid our way in whenever we went to war for the United Kingdom. We paid for our right to be here, literally with the blood of our ancestors. Do you know what I mean? This isn't, people always say, well, the England don't really care about you. England don't really care about you. Why do you want to be in this so much if no one really gives a crap about you? And it's like, we don't give a crap if anyone else gives a crap. The point is, we have a right to be here. We have a blood right to be here.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I used to play with that woman's stones in her front garden every Friday. I struggle to believe that any Prime Minister wouldn't know that putting a border and separating Northern Ireland's economy from the rest of the UK would excuse my French, but off unionists. Boris Johnson's behaviour has been blatantly dishonest. He promised there wouldn't be any checks between Northern Ireland and GB. He promised that. So that's a promise broken. So his word means absolutely nothing to us. He's a traitor to us. I feel like a lot of people, including myself, feel that the protocol, it's no longer that we're approaching an issue here, we're approaching a crisis. It's like this law is completely and utterly unacceptable to us, and it's already in place. We chose to leave. Whether or not you agree with that is up to you. I didn't at the time. The only reason that I would call myself a Brexiteer now is because of how difficult it seems to have been to leave. We don't really show how serious we feel about this issue. We're done. I mean, what is it, a United Ireland, realistically? It's the economy, it's the institutions, it's the flag, it is all that stuff.
Loads of stuff, yeah.
We've just lost the economy. We're now basically an economic United Ireland. We're acting as if we are one. That is horrible and horrifying to us, especially whenever we were promised, in the name of peace, that wouldn't happen without our consent.
But But as well as identity, the protocol also has practical implications for business. The UK and the EU agree there are problems with the protocol, but they can't agree on the changes that are needed. The EU is offering to cut checks by 80%, half the amount of customs paperwork, and allow the trade in medicines between Great Britain and Northern Ireland to carry on by passing a new law. It'll also relax the rules on chilled meats moving across the Irish Sea. The UK, however, wants to get rid of all customs checks and stop the European Commission, that's the EU's equivalent of the civil service, and the European Court of Justice from overseeing how the protocol works. If it doesn't get what it wants, it's threatening to trigger Article 16, effectively suspending parts of the agreement. And that is seen by many as the nuclear option.
Let there be no doubt that triggering Article 16 to seek the renegotiation of the protocol would have serious consequences.
What's this one's name?
Korsky Vesna.
Korsky Vesna?
Vesna.
How do you decide on a name?
We bought that cow back in 2008.
Right.
That cow there is 14-year-old. She's done having natural calves. We're just flushing away at her, taking embryos.
Alan breeds cows and used to sell them to Scottish farmers who paid the best price. But the protocol has changed all that.
How much riskier has the protocol made it?
Big time. It's made it a lot riskier. We bred these pedigrees here to take cross. The top end ones we take to Sterling every year. We were going twice a year, every February and October. And now from the 1st of January, if we take a bull and we don't sell him, or we get turned out of an inspection before the sale, we can't bring him home again for 6 months. And this is serious, serious stuff.
How much is that costing you? That potential sale that you could make when you're there?
Well, if you have a good bull there, you could be making you 7, 8, 9, 10 grand if you have the right bull. That's twice a year.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of money in the year gone. I voted for out, to be honest.
You voted for out. Did you anticipate this kind of problem?
No. As I say before, it was never mentioned of.
We'd spoken to people who feel strongly about their identity and who they are, and that they feel British, and that this de facto border in the Irish Sea makes them feel further from Britain, and that they feel Boris Johnson said there wouldn't be any sort of border in the Irish Sea, and now there is, and they feel betrayed. How do you feel about that? Do you feel strongly at all? Couldn't care less?
To be honest, I'm not really worried about that side of the thing, to be honest.
Yeah.
As long as we're getting away with our product, making good money on the business, not really worried about anything else down that line of thing.
Yeah. Do you feel betrayed by Boris Johnson?
No.
Alan's got beef with the protocol, but that doesn't mean every farmer has. I've come to the Ulster Farmers Market in Enniskillen.
I don't really know what's going on. A cow is coming out. The guy talks about what's on the screen, how much it weighs, where it's come from, and then everyone bids. I better be careful putting my hand up in case I accidentally buy a cow. Quick word on Brexit for GBNews. What do you think of the protocol? How do you feel about Northern Irish identity? How do you identify? Protocol, Brexit, none of that has affected really your business.
Not at the minute, in any adverse way. I know there was an awful lot of uncertainty here before Brexit, serious concerns in the farming community, a lot of people very worried, and Brexit kind of came and went, and really nothing's changed as such so far.
For James, the protocol has made no difference. For Alan, changes to it could help to recover costs. And this man agrees.
Have you seen the border before now?
No, this is the first I've ever been to Northern Ireland.
Let's see if we can spot it then.
Stephen Kelly represents 5,500 manufacturing firms in Northern Ireland. I've met him on the invisible border between Northern Ireland and the Republic.
So I was thinking that might be it.
No,
we're trying to spot the border, so that's not it.
Though it is a good clue.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So there's that.
So the only noticeable thing of the border is the change in the signs. See that sign, that UK road sign there? That's in the UK.
Right. Okay.
See the complete face opposite of that sign?
Yeah.
It's in kilometres per hour.
Yeah.
See the difference in the two surfaces?
Yeah. This looks a lot smoother.
That's the border.
And that's more granulated.
That's the border. So this is the old customs border.
Yeah.
And as you can see, it was like right on the border.
Yeah.
This became obsolete.
How does the protocol affect manufacturing in Northern Ireland from your point of view? Has it been a good or a bad thing?
So we're actually finding that anybody who exports is having a really good period. Anybody who sells from here into Britain is having a really good period. But those people who have to buy from Britain to bring to Northern Ireland, they're having all the cost and complexity associated with the Irish Sea border, which is adding a lot of pain. There's absolutely no reason whatsoever that goods that are travelling from Britain that are going back to Britain or staying in Northern Ireland that don't cross this invisible border should have checks and controls with them. They really should come to an agreement with the EU on agriculture, come to an agreement with the EU on veterinary. And with that, 80% of all the problems that are witnessed on the Irish Sea would disappear overnight.
Just finally, we've been speaking to loyalists in Belfast. They say that the protocol, having the border in the Irish Sea, it's a betrayal. They want it removed immediately, and it's an affront to their identity as unionists.
Well, the first thing to say to that is that this isn't the first step towards a united Ireland or an economically united Ireland. This is only the free movement of goods across this border. We're not part of the EU. We're not part of the EU single market. We don't have freedom of movement. We don't have freedom of capital. People in Northern Ireland can't just simply set up a business in the Republic of Ireland, etc., etc., etc. This is as far removed from being part of the EU and single market as the rest of the UK is. What it does mean is that our goods can freely move. So the fear that this is a step towards an economic united Ireland, frankly, is nonsense.
Maybe, but that's not how some of the people here see it. Today is the Ulster Ladies Senior Gaelic Football Final. Armagh in orange are playing Donegal in yellow. 15 players aside, they use a football with their hands or feet to score points by either kicking it in the goal or over the posts.
What's fascinating about this game, Gaelic football, is I didn't realise just how the history of it comes from a Republican Catholic background. And actually, we're in Northern Ireland, but the flags over there, none of them would tell you that. There's the Irish national flag over there, and before the game, everyone faced it, and they sung the Irish national anthem.
Back at the time, whenever the GAA was first founded, they wanted, it was a recruitment for, I don't want to go too much into it, but there was recruitment for the Irish Republican Army more than, but that has changed. There used to be a rule where Protestant people couldn't play and members of the armed force couldn't play and members of the police couldn't play. That rule's gone now. There's ones, so that anybody can play now. It's far more inclusive than it's ever been now. I actually prefer the ladies' game than the men's game now. Now, if you watch the likes of Dublin and the Donegal men's team, they'll hold the ball in the centre of the field, they'll pass it about, they'll try and time waste as much as possible, always waiting for that one opportunity. Right. Whereas the girls' game is just hell for leather, battle up and down the pitch, and it's far more exciting, there's far more scores, and to me it's better. I identify myself as Irish because I come from the island of Ireland. I have an Irish passport.
You don't count yourself as British?
No.
That's interesting.
No.
Do you count yourself as Irish or Northern Irish or both? Irish, but not a nationalist. Maybe,
yeah.
possibly.
We actually had this conversation coming down in the car, would you believe?
Did you? No way. What sparked that conversation in the car?
It was just
like, we didn't know what nationalist was.
Well, we were just talking. She asked the question. She's 13. She's very inquisitive now. What would be are we nationalist or Republican? I think we're Republicans. Yeah, no monarchy and your own.
Right.
Yeah.
So you'd say you're
rule.
Republican.
Well, that was the discussion in the car. We didn't come to.
To be
confirmed, right? Yeah.
The north of Ireland has fought for 800 years to become one island.
Yeah.
And Brexit is pushing that more and more towards actually happening.
Does that make you worried?
It doesn't make me worry, I don't think, because at the end of the day, if it was one island, then at least it'd be governed by one place instead of being. The north now is governed by the politicians in Stormont, the politicians in Parliament over in England, and the politicians down south. So, you know, whatever decisions are made here can be overridden by anybody else. You know what I mean?
It's a lot of politicians.
It is, and it shouldn't be like that. So, you know, as an island, it probably should go back to an island.
Do you like the idea of it, if it can happen in a peaceful way, of a reunited Ireland?
Yeah.
You're kind of making face gestures like you want to say something.
Well, I think it can't go like Brexit. It has to be well organised. People have to buy into it, and it has to be for the good of everyone.
You want to see the detail.
I want it to be good for economics. I want it to be good for society.
If it works, so.
But it, you know, I mean, the National Health Service and things like that. But sure, even that, how good is that now? You know, which is something probably people would like to keep for here, and that's why they would be against reunification.
I want there to be peace. I don't want any of the fighting to go on again. Like that would be my main hope. I don't want any of the fighting to go on. So.
Yeah. Do you like the idea of a reunited Ireland? You do. You'd like the idea of a united Ireland.
Honestly, I don't care about any of that.
Really, that's really interesting.
Yeah, I grew up in Dublin. It was only 100 miles up the roads, but as we were kids growing up, it never really impacted us. But I live here now because I'm married to a Northern Irish woman, and there's obviously people on both sides that have really strong feelings about it.
Ireland wasn't really taken into, North or South wasn't taken into consideration as part of the Brexit conversations. It was a bit later on down the line.
Boris Johnson would disagree. He'd say, we were thinking about it.
But Boris Johnson would disagree that I'm Irish as well, living in the north. So, you know, so Boris Johnson, who's sitting in Westminster, has his own constituencies to look after. He'd have thought of what, you know, the consequences of Brexit in Ireland. So, you know, we're living that at the minute. So, you know, that's what it is, you know. So
could make some people are talking about a reunited Ireland. Is that a good thing?
Well, we need to have a border poll, have a referendum on it, and put it to the people, what the people are saying.
How soon would that happen?
Within the next 5 years, probably. Yeah.
You reckon?
Yeah, it should do. Yeah, because the conversations, Brexit has brought them conversations further. You know, as a result of Brexit, that conversation has now happened. Because before Brexit, that conversation, you know, wasn't there. So. So it's happening. Yeah. So the conversation needs to happen.
And Donegal are losing at half time. Are they going to come back?
No, definitely not. Armagh people, you know, so obviously we're here supporting Armagh, so Armagh's just going to kick on here now, you know, and score now 3-7 in the second half, you know, just to keep us all happy.
Yeah, great. 16 seconds left. Donegal in yellow need a point to equalise. And look, Armagh have got the ball, look! Armagh in orange here, racing towards the Donegal goal. And that's it, time's up. Armagh are the Senior Cup champions.
The level of expectation here about a reunited Ireland, or at least a border poll, surprised me.
They're a bit happy about it here.
Polling since the Brexit referendum has shown no consistent majority support for reunification. That the conversation about it is even happening, though, worries the unionists.
Hey, Paul, good to meet you now.
Yeah, Fergie, is it? What's happening today, just in brief?
Today we have what's called loyal orders here, which are basically the orange, the black and the apprentice boys. Today is the black preceptories organisation, something like the Orange Order, and we're going to have a church service. Next Saturday is their big celebration, like their 12th of July. So basically they have a church service today to celebrate all their culture, to celebrate their religion, and then, as I say, next week it's their main parade.
July 12th is when unionists celebrate the victory of Protestant King William of Orange over Catholic King James II at the Battle of the Boyne in 1690. Bonfires and these marches are a display of their British identity.
We feel we have been completely cut off now from the rest of Britain due to the EU and the Irish government threatening that if there was a border on the island of Ireland, this would lead to violence. All of a sudden, the British government, the EU, the Irish government all say, well, which is the worst violence? This is the way we look at it. Is it going to come from loyalists? Which, of course, it probably won't. And will it come from Republicans? Yes, it probably will. So our viewpoint is we have been completely divorced from Britain through this protocol. So we class ourselves as someone who lives in Birmingham, Nottingham, Glasgow, Cardiff, wherever. We class ourselves the same as that, but now all of a sudden we're not.
How do you identify? British and Irish, or just British? Or
to me, I'm
Northern Irish?
British. Right. I am British.
Northern Irish, would you say?
Yes, in a certain way, I'd be Northern Irish. I come from Northern Ireland, so yes, I
Yeah,
would be
yeah,
Northern
yeah.
Irish.
No, it's interesting.
But I have a British culture, and I class myself as being very British. Yeah.
What's fascinating is with every single bang of a drum, it's like they're saying, we are British, we are British, and they won't have that identity taken away from them.
Our view would be to completely scrap it.
Right.
To completely scrap the protocol. I think the vast majority of people like myself from this background would say we need to scrap this protocol, bring us completely back in line with the United Kingdom. The worrying thing is patience will eventually wear thin. We have seen a way when it first came in, riots in the streets. Thankfully, it's been calmed down. We don't want violence on the streets. The sad thing is, it only takes a few hotheads to bring the violence back. There's rumours. I haven't read the protocol completely myself, but I have read certain articles. And Article 6 says, if the protocol leads to widespread civil disobedience and violence, then the protocol must be scrapped.
Do you think the politicians in London listen enough to you?
They don't. I think the only thing politicians in London listen to is the threat of violence. Right. To me, that is what they have listened to all along.
So is your prediction that if things stay as they are, by the end of the year there will be more violence?
My prediction is no. I hope there won't be.
I know what you hope, but what you think is going to happen.
I think things will stay quiet until something moves. And if it doesn't move quickly enough, then yes, there is that threat of violence. Yeah. There is that threat. And people are very, very angry.
Can Boris Johnson win your trust back?
Very, very doubtful.
Even if he got rid of the protocol?
If he got rid of the protocol, I think he would, yes.
Right.
I think he would. If he get rid of the protocol, yes. But he needs to be very quick.
As we leave Northern Ireland, I can't help but feel a little bit worried about the future. This film has by no means been a scientific poll, but many of the people we've spoken to say the protocol doesn't affect their identity. All they care about are decent, well-paid jobs, good public services, peace, happiness and security. For those that identify as Republican, however, they feel their identity has been emboldened or reinforced by the protocol. They feel a step closer to a reunited Ireland and potentially a brighter future, although questions still remain. But for the loyalists or the unionists, for those that identify as British, they feel their identity is under attack. They feel betrayed and angry, and that anger will only disappear when the protocol does. And there's no sign from the UK or the EU that the protocol is going away anytime soon.